Over the course of history, unfairness and inequality has been seen within our criminal justice system, from wrongful convictions trying children as adults, systematic racism, and falsely sentencing individuals to death row. However, there is proof that it's improving, and it's because of people like Bryan Stevenson. Because of the work of Bryan Stevenson, there have been significant improvements within our criminal justice system. He has been effectively promoting criminal justice reform through his legal expertise and public advocacy to highlight the reality of racial inequality and mass incarceration to inspire meaningful change. There are many different views on the argument about reforming our criminal justice system. Some believe it's necessary due to the unfairness regarding wrongful convictions, sentencing innocent people to death row, and racial bias. Our system also wrongfully tries youth offenders as adults, which many find unreasonable. Implementing methods of reform would result in saving the lives of many innocent people who are wrongfully incarcerated. While an opposing view suggests that criminal justice reform is counterproductive, such as the efforts to remove the death penalty, there are many people who find the death penalty important because capital criminals need to be punished, and the removing is unnecessary. The criminal justice system is already fair enough, and there is no need to change anything. Despite its growing awareness, youth incarceration remains relevant today. It has become a growing concern as children are facing harsh sentences that fail to consider their age's potential for rehabilitation. Youth who enter the system come from backgrounds facing challenging circumstances and barriers that limit their chance for support, which can result in interference with their future and affect their well-being. Understanding how young people end up in these situations and how the system responds to them is essential for creating a new reform system that will introduce effective approaches to juvenile justice. There are many children arrested each year, and it's important to find out what leads to it. A big issue is that the justice system is failing to reform the youth involved, and without true and meaningful rehabilitation, the system continues to keep young people in a pattern of recidivism rather than offering a path towards change. Trying youth as adults is not a proper solution. The need for a separate system supports the idea that young people should not be responsible for facing the same punishments as adults. Transient immaturity refers to a temporary state of youthful impulsiveness and underdeveloped responsibilities, which can lead to poor judgment and temporary criminal behavior. However, this is something that is impermanent and is often outgrown with age. Recognizing that youth crimes are often a result of transient immaturity highlights the need for separating youth and adult offenders. Bryan Stevenson understood this and fought for the rights of youth in a case against the Supreme Court. He won this case banning the use of the death penalty for minors.
When I started doing this work 40 years ago, there were very few organizations, there were very few resources available to people who were in jails and prisons, people wrongly convicted, people condemned to die, and that seemed to be not changing.
This shows that the criminal justice system provided no ways to rehabilitate the individuals involved. At the beginning of Stevenson's career, there were very few resources that were devoted to helping incarcerated and wrongly convicted people. However, he understood the urgent need for legal support to those wronged individuals, and this led to his work becoming essential to addressing nationwide injustice. One of Stevenson's many accomplishments that has helped reform the justice system is the creation of the Equal Justice Initiative. This puts into perspective just how helpful the EJI is and how many people benefit from it. They have helped many individuals throughout the country, which has added to the improvement of our criminal justice system. Stevenson created the EJI to help fight systematic racism and end wrongful convictions, which is just what it's doing. Stevenson has been effective in promoting his cause of criminal injustice because he was able to make his cause well known. He has publicly voiced his concerns through interviews, a TED Talk, and his book, Just Mercy. These have all been helpful in promoting his cause because he's been able to speak to people literally and through the narrations of his book. They've reached people so they can better understand the need for criminal justice reform through the compelling stories in his book and the experiences he explains in his TED Talk. In 2014, Bryan Stevenson released his memoir, Just Mercy, in which he describes his experiences being a lawyer for a man who was convicted of murder and sentenced to death row. When Stevenson says this, it causes the reader to think deeper about their own life, because every person makes mistakes and we all have opportunities to make them right. Stevenson believed each person had the right to second chances, and that influenced him to being a lawyer so he could help give people chances to prove themselves.
I mean, it's fascinating. Death penalty in America is defined by error. For every 9 people who have been executed, we've actually identified one innocent person who's been exonerated and released from death row. A kind of astonishing error rate. 1 out of 9 people, innocent. I mean, it's fascinating. In aviation, we would never let people fly on airplanes if for every 9 planes that took off, 1 would crash. But somehow we can insulate ourselves from this problem. It's not our problem. It's not our burden. It's not our...
Stevenson brings awareness to the likelihood of someone being sentenced to death and being innocent. It's not a rare occurrence, so Stevenson has found effective ways to prevent this and save the lives of those already on death row. Stevenson highlights the factors that influence a person's likelihood of being incarcerated. The chances of a person being convicted of a crime often rise due to issues with finances. This influenced Stevenson to find a solution to help people who are underrepresented in our justice system. Wrongful convictions hurt many families and communities, but due to Bryan Stevenson, injustice in our legal system is improving and protecting the rights of every citizen. Stevenson's cause is important and should be cared about because justice is more than just a legal issue. If the justice system fails one person, it will happen again, and it could be anyone. Stevenson's work in righting wrongful actions of our justice system works to prevent innocent people facing charges of criminals. Being educated on the issue at hand is one way to help. Another meaningful way to contribute would be to make yourself informed about the inequalities surrounding criminal justice and the people who it affects. Recognizing the difference that Stevenson has made in the criminal justice system is the first step in understanding why his reform was needed, helps us move to a more just future.
I've come to understand and to believe that each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. I believe that for every person on the planet. I think if somebody tells a lie, they're not just a liar. I think if somebody takes something that doesn't belong to them, they're not just a thief. I think even if you kill someone, you're not just a killer.